The US-China trade war has evolved beyond mere tariffs, transforming into a comprehensive geopolitical power struggle. Initially sparked by disputes over trade deficits and intellectual property rights, this conflict has now permeated military strategies. At the heart of this escalation lies the F-47, America's latest stealth fighter, symbolizing the intersection of economic and military tensions between these global powers. The trade war officially commenced in 2018 under the Trump administration, characterized by aggressive tariffs on Chinese goods. Over time, it expanded to encompass technology restrictions, diplomatic confrontations, and military developments. The subsequent Biden administration largely maintained these policies, indicating that the tensions are structural rather than merely political. The F-47, America's answer to China's military buildup. The F-47 is not merely another aircraft, it's the centerpiece of America's next-generation air dominance NGAD program, designed to maintain U.S. air superiority in the Pacific amid China's expanding military capabilities. President Trump, naming it after himself as the 47th president, declared it the ultimate counter to China's J-20 stealth fighter and upcoming J-31 prototype. The F-47 boasts cutting-edge technology including advanced stealth capabilities, sensor fusion, and the ability to coordinate operations with drone swarms, all intended to ensure air dominance. China's People's Liberation Army Air Force PLAF has heavily invested in stealth technology, fielding the J-20 Mighty Dragon as its first fifth-generation fighter. The J-31, now FC-31, is expected to be China's equivalent to the US F-35, aimed at carrier operations and international exports. The F-47 is part of a broader U.S. strategy to reinforce air superiority in the Pacific, ensuring that American aircraft maintain an edge over Chinese fighters in any potential conflict over Taiwan or the South China Sea. The trade war's impact on military technology. The F-47 program is significantly affected by the ongoing economic conflict between the United States and China. A notable issue is the reliance on rare earth minerals, essential components in advanced military technologies such as radar systems and jet engines. The United States imports a substantial portion of these minerals from China, making the defense sector vulnerable to supply disruptions amid escalating trade tensions. In response to this dependency, the U.S. government has initiated measures to bolster domestic production of critical minerals. President Trump invoked the Defense Production Act to enhance American mineral production, aiming to reduce reliance on Chinese imports and strengthen national security. Additionally, the Department of Defense has invested over $439 million since 2020 to establish domestic rare earth element supply chains, including processing and refining capabilities. Despite these efforts, establishing a self-sufficient supply chain is a complex and time-consuming endeavor. The current dependency on Chinese rare earth minerals continues to pose challenges for the timely and cost-effective production of the F-47 and other advanced military technologies. Beijing strikes back: economic warfare in the military sector. In response to the United States' advancements with the F-47 and the ongoing trade tensions, China has implemented sanctions targeting major U.S. defense contractors, including Lockheed Martin, Boeing Defense, and Raytheon. These measures prohibit Chinese companies from exporting dual-use items, goods with both civilian and military applications, to these firms. While these sanctions are largely symbolic, given the limited direct business between these U.S. defense contractors and China, they serve as a clear signal of Beijing's discontent with U.S. arms sales to Taiwan and other military collaborations in the region. The broader implications of these sanctions are multifaceted. Although the immediate financial impact on companies like Lockheed Martin and Boeing Defense may be minimal, the sanctions reflect escalating geopolitical tensions that could influence global defense supply chains and international partnerships. Moreover, these actions underscore China's willingness to leverage economic tools in response to perceived threats to its national sovereignty and security interests. As the United States continues to enhance its military capabilities with projects like the F-47, it must navigate an increasingly complex global landscape where economic policies and military strategies are deeply intertwined. The interplay between these factors will likely shape the future dynamics of U.S.-China relations and the broader international order. A new Cold War? Military strategy meets economic battle. The escalating tensions between the United States and China have led analysts to draw parallels with the Cold War era, suggesting the onset of a Cold War II. This modern iteration is characterized by a multifaceted rivalry encompassing military posturing, economic sanctions, and technological competition. The United States has adopted stringent export controls to prevent China from acquiring advanced U.S. technologies that could bolster its military capabilities. This aggressive approach aims to maintain a strategic edge over China in critical technological domains. Concurrently, China is actively preparing for potential conflicts, particularly concerning Taiwan. The Chinese military has been enhancing its amphibious assault capabilities, conducting large-scale invasion drills, and increasing military activities around Taiwan. These developments underscore China's intent to assert its claims over Taiwan, raising concerns about possible military confrontations. The intertwining of economic policies and military strategies has created a complex geopolitical landscape. Unlike the original Cold War, where the US and the Soviet Union had limited economic ties, the current US-China relationship is deeply interconnected economically. This interdependence adds layers of complexity to the rivalry, as actions in the economic sphere can have significant military implications and vice versa. The South China Sea, Taiwan Strait, and the broader Indo-Pacific region have emerged as potential flashpoints for future conflicts. The strategic importance of these areas, coupled with the military buildup by both nations, heightens the risk of miscalculations leading to direct confrontations. In this evolving scenario, the global community faces the challenge of navigating a world where economic and military strategies are increasingly intertwined, reminiscent of Cold War dynamics, but with contemporary complexities. 6. Conclusion: what comes next? The escalating US-China rivalry transcends traditional trade disputes, evolving into a multifaceted contest for global supremacy. The introduction of the F-47, America's cutting-edge sixth-generation fighter jet, exemplifies the intertwining of economic strategies and military advancements in this modern power struggle. China's countermeasures, including sanctions on major U.S. defense contractors, signal a readiness to leverage economic tools in defense of its national interests. This tit-for-tat dynamic raises critical questions about the future trajectory of U.S.-China relations. As these two superpowers navigate an increasingly complex geopolitical landscape, the global community watches closely, aware that the outcomes of this rivalry will shape international norms, economic systems, and security architectures for decades to come.